is AFVN News on the Hour.
Good evening. Here's the news. Army Specialist John Aubuchon reporting. Military officials here in Saigon have announced this evening that 1,788 enemy have been killed throughout the Republic, not counting the capital district. This in the last 48 hours that ended at 1500 today. Reports are that friendly casualties are light. This morning here in Saigon, the Viet Cong made an attempt to seize the United States Embassy. They failed. The entire 19-man enemy force was killed. 4 United States military policemen were killed, 4 others wounded in defense of the embassy compound. 1 Marine Guard was killed, 7 wounded, 1 critically. Other targets hit in the capital included 6 American military hotels, the Presidential Palace, the Vietnamese Navy headquarters, and Tan Son Nhut Air Base. In other news, this from Washington. The White House today is seeking confirmation of indirect word from North Korea that 1 American injured in the communist hijacking of the USS Pueblo has died. The source, which Presidential News Secretary George Christian declined to specify yesterday, reported that the other 82 Pueblo crewmen are being cared for properly. Mr. Christian said only this report did not come from the International Red Cross. The White House reportedly is banking heavily on diplomacy to free the crew of the Pueblo. Senator J.W. Fulbright, after attending a White House conference, said the president seems to feel strongly that diplomatic efforts will solve the crisis. The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee says he likes the way the chief executive is handling the matter. Said Senator Fulbright, "We've really gone mad if this results in war." In an attempt to squash reports that he might become a Democratic presidential candidate, in Senator Eugene McCarthy's place, Senator Robert Kennedy has come out with a most positive statement. Senator Kennedy says he will not oppose the nomination of President Johnson. The state's junior senator uses the words, "under any foreseeable circumstances." In a Washington press conference yesterday, Senator Kennedy denied reports that he would go after the nomination now being sought by liberal Democratic Minnesota Senator Eugene McCarthy. Like Mr. McCarthy, Senator Kennedy opposes the president's Vietnam War policy. The House Senate Economic Committee today examines the possibility of reviving wage price guideposts. 4 economists will testify of the possible effect that the long-dormant guidelines would have on United States economic problems at home and abroad.
It's 2100. This is AFVN News on the Hour.
Good evening. Here's the news. Army Specialist John Aubuchon reporting. South Vietnamese President Nguyen Van Thieu proclaimed martial law today throughout South Vietnam after 2 days of fighting swept the republic's major cities, including the capital, Saigon. The declaration said the Saigon government would rule by decree until further notice. In other developments, briefly, military officials report more than 2,700 enemy troops killed during the past 48 hours in the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Corps areas. Reports from the 3 Corps area are not available at this time. Viet Cong raiders tried unsuccessfully to seize the American embassy in Saigon early this morning. 19 enemy were killed in that attack. Other Viet Cong smashed through tank defenses to within 300 yards of General W.C. Westmoreland's headquarters at Tan Son Nhut. Other targets in Saigon included President Thieu's palace, United States military billets, and government buildings. And reports say the Viet Cong had slipped 800 to 1,000 men into Saigon in the past few weeks to prepare for today's hit-and-run attacks. Trouble elsewhere in Southeast Asia. A South Korean official believes the United States should bomb North Korean cities in an attempt to force the return of the USS Pueblo. Lee Byung-do, vice director of the South Korean Central Intelligence Agency, says the move would also forestall any North Korean invasion of the South, prompted by limiting any airstrike to Wonsan, where the American vessel was taken after its seizure last week. In Washington, the White House is working to obtain confirmation that one of the Pueblo's crewmen died after the hijacking incident. The other 82 men aboard the vessel were reported being treated properly. At the United Nations, the United States is reported opposed to the Afro-Asian proposal that a North Korean delegation be invited to the World Organization for informal talks on the Pueblo seizure. On the United States political front, Senator Robert Kennedy is sticking to earlier comments that he intends to support President Johnson's re-election this November. The New York Democrat told Washington newsmen that he would not oppose Mr. Johnson's renomination under any foreseeable circumstances. The liberal New York Democrat has been under pressure to make an open break with the president. He said he will campaign for Mr. Johnson if the president is nominated for a second elective term, despite his disagreement with administration policy on Vietnam. Senator Kennedy has said he's sympathetic with the foreign policy views of Minnesota Senator Eugene McCarthy, but he has declined to aid Mr. McCarthy's primary campaign against the president. It took just 5 members of the Senate to make Clark Clifford the nation's next Secretary of Defense. The Senate confirmed his appointment to succeed outgoing Secretary Robert McNamara on a routine voice vote yesterday. Only 5 senators were on the floor. Elsewhere in the United States, 7 persons died in an explosion that rocked the Pittsburgh suburb of Ingram. 2 other persons are missing, feared dead. 20 are injured, 14 seriously. The blast, which shattered a building, occurred yesterday as a work crew made test borings in a street to locate a gas leak. Also in Pennsylvania, the newly merged Penn Central Railroad holds its first organizational meeting tomorrow in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania Railroad Chairman Stuart Sanders will head the new firm to include the New York Central and, depending on court action, the New Haven. Documents that will be filed with Pennsylvania State Bureau of Corporations have been presented to Commonwealth President Joseph Kelly. They make the merger effective as of tomorrow. Racial fighting broke out today in a high school in Muncie, Indiana. That's the second time since September. Police had to use tear gas to quell the disturbance. Overseas, French naval spokesmen say hope has been nearly abandoned of finding any crewmen alive aboard the missing submarine Minerve. As the search continued for the sub, officials said they're convinced all of its 52 crewmen were lost when the undersea craft disappeared in the Mediterranean last Saturday. Israeli spokesmen report nothing significant in their search for the submarine Dakar, missing in the eastern Mediterranean with a crew of 69. Tomorrow will mark the 10th anniversary of the day the United States entered the space age, and America's first satellite, a little 31-pound artificial moon named Explorer 1, is still up there, orbiting the Earth every 100 minutes. Explorer 1 lost its radio voice 4 months after it was launched, but it was a brilliant success. Many scientists consider Explorer 1's discovery of the Van Allen radiation belts one of the greatest findings of the space age. And to the moment, that's world news from Saigon.
AFVN Worldwide News Coverage, heard every hour on the hour.